Welcome to eClasses. I'm Dr. Jyoti Sharma, professor in the Department of Anatomy at RNK Memorial Homeopathic Hospital and Medical College. Today we will learn about the anatomy of heart. This is the second session, and in this session we will learn about the internal features of heart. In the internal features of heart, first of all, we will see right atrium. The right atrium is divided into two parts, the anterior part, which is also called atrium proper, which is rough part, and the posterior part, it is also called sinus venarum, and it is smooth part. In the diagram we can see this is the smooth part and this is the rough part. The smooth part is sinus venarum and the rough part is atrium proper. Sinus venarum. It is posterior smooth walled part of right atrium. All the large veins entering the right atrium open into this part. The opening of superior vena cava is in its upper and posterior part. Opening of inferior vena cava is into its lower part close to interatrial septum. The opening of inferior vena cava is bounded by a semilunar fold of endocardium called the valve of inferior vena cava. During fetal life, it directs oxygen-rich blood supply from right atrium to left atrium. And the third opening is coronary sinus. It is present just left to the opening of inferior vena cava. This opening is also guarded by valve of coronary sinus. There are also small openings in the wall of right atrium or small veins called vena cordis minimi. Now we can see in the diagram the sinus venarum. This is the opening of superior vena cava. This is the opening of inferior vena cava guarded by a valve. And this is the opening of coronary sinus, which is also guarded by a valve. Now we will see atrium proper. It is rough walled part of right atrium. The right atrium has an appendage called auricle, and the auricle arises from the upper and anterior part of atrium proper and is related to right side of ascending aorta. Here we can see the right auricle, and this is the rough walled part of right atrium. Crista terminalis and sulcus terminalis. The sinus venarum and atrium proper meet along a line that runs vertically on the lateral wall of atrium. This line is marked on the internal surface of atrial wall by a smooth muscular ridge called crista terminalis. It is C-shaped ridge. It starts on the interatrial septum, passes anterior to the opening of superior vena cava, and runs along the lateral wall of atrium to reach the opening of inferior vena cava. The position of crista terminalis corresponds to a groove, the sulcus terminalis, on the external surface of atrium. Musculi pectinati. The wall of atrium proper shows presence of number of transversely running muscular ridges called musculi pectinati. These ridges start from crista terminalis and run forward. Some of them enters the auricle where they form a network. Here in the diagram we can see this is a ridge called crista terminalis and these is musculi pectinati. Now we will see interatrial septum. The right atrium is separated from the left atrium by interatrial septum. It is obliquely placed so that right atrium lies in front of left atrium. When viewed from inside the right atrium, the septum shows following features: the fossa ovalis and limbus fossa ovalis. The fossa ovalis on the interatrial septum, left to the inferior vena caval opening, there is an oval depression called fossa ovalis. The wall of fossa is thin and represents embryonic septum primer. The limbus fossa ovalis. The upper margin of fossa ovalis is thickened to form a curved ridge, sickle-shaped, called limbus fossa ovalis. It is seen above but deficient inferior. Now we can see in the diagram, this is fossa ovalis and this is the upper margin having limbus fossa ovalis. Now we will see the internal features of left atrium. The left atrium is thin-walled cavity. Most of the wall is smooth. Musculi pectinati are present only in the auricle of atrium. The cavity is separated from right atrium by interatrial septum. The left surface of the septum may show a depression corresponding to fossa ovalis of the right side. The left atrium receives 4 pulmonary veins, 2 right-sided from the right lung and 2 left-sided from the left lung. and these veins open into the upper lateral part of atrium. The antero-inferior part of atrium opens into left ventricle through atrioventricular orifice, which is guarded by mitral valve or the bicuspid valve. Here we can see the internal features of the left atrium. These are the openings of the pulmonary veins. This is the atrioventricular orifice, which is guarded by a bicuspid valve or the mitral valve. Now we will see the internal features of right and left ventricles. First of all, we will see the features which are common in both the ventricles. They are the inflow part, trabeculae carni, and the papillary muscle. First of all, we'll see inflow part. Each ventricle has an inflow part beginning just in front of corresponding atrioventricular orifice and running forward and to the left, that is, towards the apex of the heart. The trabeculae carni. The inflow part of each ventricle has a rough inner surface of inflow part. It is rough because of presence of numerous bundles of cardiac muscles called trabeculae carni. Some of these are in the form of muscular ridges, while some are in the form of bundles that are free all around in the middle part and are continuous with the wall only at their ends. Now we will see the papillary muscles. These are the finger-like processes attached to the ventricular wall at one end but are free at the other end. They are functionally related to atrioventricular orifice. Now we will see the structures. They are different in both the ventricles. First of all, we will see in the right ventricle, that's the outflow part that is smooth called infundibulum. Its upper end is continuous with the pulmonary trunk and the two being separated by the pulmonary valve. In the left ventricle, it is also smooth, continuous with ascending aorta and the two being separated by aortic valve. Now we'll see the junction of inflow and the outflow part. The inflow and outflow parts make an angle of about 90 degrees with each other. The upper part of their junction is marked by a prominent bulging by myocardium called supraventricular crest. The aortic vestibule of the left ventricle forms an acute angle with inflow part running sharply upward and to the right to reach the aortic orifice. It crosses behind the infundibulum from left to right. This explains how the aortic orifice comes to lie to the right of the pulmonary orifice. The thickness of the wall, less thicker than that of the left ventricle, and of the left ventricle, the wall is much thicker than that of the right ventricle. Now, when we see the outline of the cavity, the right ventricle is crescentic because the interventricular septum bulges into right ventricle so that its right surface is convex and its left surface is concave. While in left ventricle, it is circular. Now we see the internal features of the right and left ventricles. Now we will see orifices and walls of the heart. First of all, the atrioventricular orifices. The right and left atrioventricular orifices are oval apertures. Each opening is directed forward and to the left and slightly downward. Each orifice is strengthened by the presence of variable amount of fibrous tissue around it. It is guarded by valves which allow flow of blood from atrium to ventricle, but not in reverse direction. The walls are made up of thin leaflets of tissues called cusps. Each cusp is a double fold of endocardium within which there are some fibrous tissue. It has ventricular rough surface and an atrial smooth surface. Each cusp has a base and apex. Base is attached to the fibrous ring around the atrioventricular orifice, and the apex is free. The margin of cusps may be fused to each other for some distance so that cusps may form a continuous membrane. The apex and margin of cusp give attachment to delicate tendinous strands called chordae tendineae. At the other end, the chordae tendineae is attached to a physis of papillary muscles. Each papillary muscle is attached through chordae tendineae to the adjoining part of two cusps. As a result, the adjoining margins of the two cusps are drawn together and papillary muscle contracts. The right orifice is larger than the left orifice, and the right orifice admits tips of 3 fingers and left orifice admits tips of 2 fingers. Here we can see in the diagram, this is the left orifice having 2 cusps and this is the right orifice having 3 cusps. The tricuspid valve. First of all, we will see the situation. It is situated between right atrium and right ventricle. It has three triangular cusps that are anterior, posterior, and septal. Papillary muscles are large anterior, large posterior, and small septal. And the bases of papillary muscles are attached to anterior muscles to the sternocostal wall of right ventricle, posterior muscle to the angle between the diaphragmatic wall and the interventricular septum, and septal muscle to the interventricular septum. The chordae tendineae arising from papillary muscles are attached to the adjoining free edges of cusps. From anterior muscle to the anterior and posterior cusp, from posterior muscle to the posterior and septal cusp, from septal muscle to the anterior and septal cusp. Base of anterior papillary muscle is connected to interventricular septum by septal band of chordae cardiac muscle called septomarginal trabecula or moderator band. Here we can see the three cusps of the tricuspid wall. Now we see the mitral wall called the bicuspid wall. It is situated between left atrium and left ventricle. It has two cusps, anterior and posterior. Papillary muscles are anterior and posterior. Anterior muscles arises from sternocostal wall of ventricle near its lower end, and the posterior muscle arises from diaphragmatic wall near its anterior end. Chordae tendineae arising from each papillary muscle pass to adjoining part of two cusps. Anterior muscle pass to the left half of each cusp, and the posterior muscle pass to the right half of each cusp. Here we can see in the diagram the two cusps of the bicuspid wall and the three cusps of tricuspid wall. Now we will see the conducting system of heart. It consists of specialized cardiac myocytes. Intrinsic rhythmic contraction of cardiac muscle fibers are regulated by pacemakers. Rhythmicity of pacemakers are regulated by nerve impulses from vasomotor centers of brain. Conducting tissue is made up of aggregation of nodal, transitional, and Purkinje myocytes in varying proportions. It includes SA node, AV node, AV bundle, or bundle of His with its two limbs and the subendocardial plexus of Purkinje fiber. Rhythmical impulses begins at SA node, that is the sinoatrial node, activates atrial impulses through internodal tract and reaches AV node, that is atrioventricular node. AV node with its two bundles and Purkinje fiber conduct impulses from AV node to the ventricular myocardium. Here in the diagram we can see this is the SA node, this is AV node, this is bundle of His. These are the two branches of bundle of His and these are the Purkinje fibers. Now we see SA node. This SA node is heart's natural pacemaker. If you see the location, it is present in the posterior aspect of right atrium along the anterior margin of opening of superior vena cava. Measurement 10 to 20 mm in length, 5 to 7 mm in width, and 1 to 2 mm in depth. It is traversed by nodal artery derived from the right coronary artery. Group of pacemaker cell in right atrium depolarize to create an action potential. The cardiac action potential spread across both atria, causing them to contract. These impulses reach AV node. Now we see AV node, atrioventricular node. It is located in the wall of right atrium, formed by interatrial septum just above the opening of coronary sinus. Anteroposteriorly, it is 8 mm in measurement. This node is electric relay station between upper and the lower chambers of heart. It conducts electrical impulses from atria to ventricle. Bundle of His starts from AV node. AV node is situated in triangle of Koch. Boundaries of triangle of Koch we see the tendon of Todaro, the base of septal leaflet of tricuspid wall, and the orifice of coronary sinus. Here we can see the triangle of Koch. Here, this is the tendon of Todaro. This is the coronary sinus, and this is the tricuspid wall. This is the tricuspid wall. Now we see the atrioventricular bundle or bundle of His. It arises from AV node, passes forward in the interatrial septum to reach the membranous part of interventricular septum. It passes between the right side of the septum and septal cusp of tricuspid valve to enter right ventricle. The bundle now divides into right and left branches. First of all, we will see the right branch. Runs forward on the right side of the muscular part of interventricular septum towards the apex of heart. It passes through the moderator band to reach the base of anterior papillary muscle. The bundle now breaks up into plexus of fine Purkinje fiber, which spread up deep to the endocardium to reach all the parts of right ventricle. In the left branch, it enters the left ventricle by piercing the interventricular part of the membranous interventricular septum. It runs deep to the endocardium and divides into branches that reach the basis of papillary muscle. Here the branches end in Purkinje fibers that are distributed to the entire musculature of left ventricle. Again, we can see whole of the conducting system, the SA node, the AV node, the bundle of His, the right and left branches, and the Purkinje fiber. Now we see layers of heart. Heart is made up of three layers: the superficial epicardium, the middle myocardium, and deep endocardium. Epicardium is visceral pericardium that adheres to the heart. Myocardium is a cardiac muscle layer and forms the bulk of heart. Endocardium is the layer of endothelium resting on the thin layer of connective tissue. This is the layer that lines the heart chamber. Now we see the layers of heart. In this, the inner one is the endocardium, the outer two endocardium is myocardium, and then the epicardium. Now we will see the blood supply of heart. First of all, we will see the arterial supply. Heart is supplied by coronary arteries, which are the branches of ascending aorta. The coronary arteries and their branches lie within the subepicardial connective tissue and are distributed to the surface of heart. There are two coronary arteries, right and left. Here we can see this is the aorta having the two branches, right and left. Now we can see the blood supply of heart in the anterior view. This is the right coronary artery, the coronary sulcus, and this is the left coronary artery and its branches. This is the posterior view of heart having the left coronary artery and the right coronary artery and the branches of both right and left. Now we see the right coronary artery. It arises from anterior aortic sinus of ascending aorta, which is dilatation in the valve of ascending aorta opposite to the anterior cusp of aortic valve. It is divided into three segments. The first segment, it runs anteriorly between right auricle and the pulmonary trunk. It extends from its origin at the aortic root to the coronary sulcus on the sternocostal surface. In the second segment, it runs downwards on the sternocostal surface in the coronary sulcus between right atrium and right ventricle up to inferior margin of heart. It is accompanied by small cardiac ring. In the third segment, at the inferior border of heart, it winds round the border and runs to the right portion of posterior part of coronary sulcus. Finally, it goes to the left crux of heart and opens by anastomosing with branches of left coronary artery, that is the circumflex branch. Now we see the crux of heart. It is the beating point of posterior interventricular, posterior interatrial and atrioventricular groove. This is the crux of heart. Now we see the chambers supplied by right coronary artery. Right coronary artery supplies right atrium, small part of left atrium, most of right ventricle except a small part of right atrioventricular groove, small parts of left ventricle, that is the diaphragmatic surface, and the conducting system of heart, that is SA node, AV node, bundle of His, right and left branches of bundle. Now we see the branches of right coronary artery. Branches of first segments, the right conus artery, artery to SA node, anterior atrial rami, that is right-sided, and anterior ventricular rami, that is also right-sided. Branches of second segment, right marginal branch, and the branch of third segment are the atrial and ventricular branches of right atrium and right ventricle, and posterior interventricular branch gives of branches to diaphragmatic of right and left ventricle. Now we see in the diagram the branches of right coronary artery. Now the left coronary artery. It arises from posterior aortic sinus of ascending aorta. It is larger than the right and supplies the greater volume of heart. It passes to the left between pulmonary trunk and the left atrium and appears on the sternocostal surface of the heart after passing deep to the auricle to the left atrium. Here the artery divides into two main branches, the circumflex artery and the anterior interventricular or the left anterior descending artery. Circumflex artery is a branch to the left in the anterior part of coronary sulcus between left atrium and left ventricle. It then curves down the left border of heart and runs downwards to the right in the posterior part of coronary sulcus. It ends with anastomosing with terminal part of right coronary artery. The left anterior descending artery runs downwards to the left in the anterior interventricular groove near the apex of heart. It curves round the lower border and runs for a short distance in the posterior interventricular groove, where it ends by anastomosing with posterior interventricular groove, which is a branch of right coronary artery. Here we can see the branches of left coronary artery. Chambers supplied by left coronary artery. Most of the left atrium is supplied by left coronary artery. Most of left ventricle, except a part of its diaphragmatic surface, small part of right ventricle to the right of the anterior interventricular groove, anterior 2/3 of interventricular septum and some part of AV bundle, and right and left bundle branches. Now we see the venous drainage of heart. The veins of heart are the great cardiac vein, the small cardiac vein, the middle cardiac vein, the oblique vein of left atrium, the posterior vein of left atrium, and the anterior cardiac vein. The last one is vena cava vena. The first 5 veins drain into coronary sinus, and 6th and 7th veins are directly drained into the right atrium. Now we see the coronary sinus. It is the main vein of heart. It is wide venous channel that runs from left to right in posterior aspect of coronary sulcus between left atrium and left ventricle. Its length is 2 to 3 centimeters. It begins as a continuation of great cardiac vein at the left end of coronary sulcus. It ends at the right atrium between the inferior vena cava and right atrioventricular orifice. The end of coronary sulcus sinus is guarded by semilunar valve of coronary sinus, which is continuous with the valve of inferior vena cava and right atrioventricular orifice. Here we can see the venous drainage of heart and all the veins, the great cardiac vein, the anterior interventricular vein, the middle cardiac vein, and this is the coronary sinus. Thanking you. In the next, we will see thoracic duct.